Hi guys, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back to this channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving some common mistakes people do that might be the reason why they don't hear back from people that they applied to. Number one is so if you're applying to a company that they do sales, your CV or your cover letter should be streamlined to that particular thing they are doing. You wouldn't submit a CV that you submit to someone that is in a research field or someone that is doing something different from what you're applying to. And this is a very common mistake people do. Like, they apply with one CV. I mean, I've done that in the past, where I'm just sending out CV and sending out cover letters without making it personal. So you need to personalize your cover letter or your resume to the company you're applying to, or to whatever it is you're applying to, your supervisor. Make it about that person if it's a supervisor, or make it about that company if it's a company. And don't submit a one-size-fits-all cover letter, because nobody's going to read that. They know. Like, people literally know. I was speaking to a professor recently, and he was telling me about some of the applications he got from prospective students, people that were sending him emails. And he said that one thing he didn't realize that is that most of them will send email that he knows that they've sent to someone else. Like, it's really, literally so obvious that we don't even take our time to edit it. Like, some even write the name of somebody else. That's literally a very bad sign. Like, no matter what, the person already knows that this person is not even serious enough to even try to adjust this application or this letter. So nobody wants to read a letter that is very obviously generalized. So yeah, that's one thing. You need to be able to make it personal about that company, about that person you're applying to. Number two, this is very important. Guys, I've read applications and I'm just like, what is this? What is this? You're sending this to a professor, or even if it's not a professor, you're sending it to somebody, and there are a lot of grammatical errors. How? Like, even me, that I'm not the person they're applying to, when they give me to proofread it, I have headache. Like, I'm having headache reading this thing. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to write. I don't understand. And then that's even me. I'm not even the person you're applying to. I have a bit of time to read it. But these people don't even have time. Most times they have like thousands of applications. And if you're sending yours and then you don't have, it's not well written, nobody's gonna read it. Like, the comma is not supposed to be where it is. And sometimes there's no punctuation. Like, some people don't even put punctuation marks. There's no full stop, there's no comma. It's just one blob of words. And when you're just like having headache, like, what's that? No, please sit down and write it well. Proofread it a couple of times. Even if you have the best English language skills, still give it to somebody else to read it, So these are things that are very important. They might sound trivial, they might sound very, basic, but these are some of the mistakes people do. They send out things without reading them. Please proofread your application over and over again. Take out time. And the person that is reading will appreciate it. I recently read an application, and I appreciated this person so much, because I was just like, you just made my life easy, because I read it and I was even happy that the person wrote it, because it was very easy to read. I was like, this is a job well done, right? So, like, that's how it's supposed to be. So don't send out application that you've not proofread. This is very important. So the next mistake people do is that in the CV or in the cover letter, you have to write your experience, right? What you've learned before, maybe where you worked before, what are the things that you've learned, what are your experiences, basically. Some people over exaggerate. Like, they say they've learned a lot of things just to attract the supposed company or the supposed person they're applying to. But these people can tell when you're over exaggerating. Like, it's not possible. Like, they know when it's not possible for you to be able to gather that amount of knowledge. Like, it's not possible. How can you do this in this small space, this small amount of time? They can literally tell. And sometimes they don't even want people to have the whole knowledge. You just know everything and any and everything. They want people that would be willing to learn. Sometimes you wonder how people that get jobs are people that don't even have experience in that job. Like, they probably have zero knowledge. I've seen people that supervisors take here for basic science, for like research, basic science research, and this person doesn't even have a background in sciences. Like, someone that did social sciences before, and the person just wanted to try something different, and they wrote to the supervisor, and just the fact that they were willing to learn. The way they did the application is like, I'm willing to learn this. I don't have knowledge in this, but I'm willing to learn. And that's what they really want to see. Like, someone that is willing to learn, not someone that claims to have a lot of knowledge. Now, I'm not saying that they don't want people that have a lot of knowledge, but don't over-exaggerate. Don't say, oh, I know this to the fullest, I know this to the fullest. Because when you come there and you say you know these things, you're going to have to prove yourself that you do indeed know it, right? So if you don't know something, don't write it that you know it, right? So don't over exaggerate, and also don't under exaggerate. I don't know how to explain this, but people just trivialize some of they don't really talk about their experiences as well. It's also a mistake. If you know something, you have to kind of say you know it, right? You kind of have to find a balance. Don't over exaggerate, but don't also under exaggerate or trivialize it. Don't just say, oh, this is it. The next thing is, so this is like, when you're writing a cover letter, you have to kind of write about your career goals. What is it, like, the fact that you are applying to the organization, you need to, it's kind of like a way to help you move to your next level or push you for your career goals, right? So even if you don't plan to continue in that line, you can write that this is going to be a stepping stone for you into something else or into that thing you're trying to do. So people set unrealistic career goals in the sense that they're like, in the future, I choose to maybe be in the moon or climb something. I don't know what examples to give, but you understand what I'm saying, where people are not like being realistic with their career goals. So what is your career? Be specific. If you know that this is going to be like, after this I'm going to be a doctor, this is going to help me to pursue this. Don't say things that are just outrageous. Don't set unrealistic career goals. You have to write in your application things that you know that these are things that you want to achieve and it's possible to achieve them. So this next one is based on people that maybe had the application first. They sent an application and they got a response about doing an interview. So during the interview, there are also some mistakes that might happen as well. Number one is the body language. So when you're doing an interview, what is your body language like? How are you acting? Are you being do you look uncomfortable? Is there eye contact? What is your what are you doing with your eyes? What are you doing with your hands? Body language is very important in interview. And now that we're going back to in-person interviews, in-person meetings, it's gonna be in person, and then you kind of have to know how to act during an interview. You don't have to be nervous. You don't have to appear like you are not confident. You have to appear confident, basically. So these are some of the mistakes people do during interviews. Their body language is not really portraying that they're confident or comfortable being around people or talking to people. So you have to be very careful with that. Another mistake people do during interviews is that so when you're asking a question, you don't avoid it. You don't just try to jump to something else. Maybe just try to answer another question or act like you didn't hear it or something like that. So it's kind of obvious when people do that, when they avoid questions. That's something that people don't like, or interviewers don't like when people do that, or giving vague responses, like just brushing off the question. It's not necessary to go deep with the answers and just use 20 minutes to explain the answer, but at the same time, you need to be able to answer the questions. And if it's a question that is kind of technical, where you have to have like an amount of knowledge to answer it, you can just say you don't know the question, you don't know the answer to the question, and that's okay. If you don't know the answer to the question, instead of avoiding it or evading it or being vague with the responses, you know. So yeah, that's another mistake people do, and this one is very important as well. When you are doing an interview, of course, you have to dress to the par. You have to dress to the occasion. It's an interview, you have to dress, even if it's online, even if it's in person, you have to dress appropriately. So that's the number one thing you're seeing. So if you're dressed with a t-shirt or a hoodie or something, you know, to an interview, that's not quite appropriate. So appearance also matters greatly. And the next thing is, this would particularly probably not apply to everyone, but if at any point you went to an interview stage, there was an interview done, then I think the next thing should be like a follow-up note, maybe to the interviewers, that say thank you, a thank you note, kind of like saying thank you for the interview yesterday. It just kind of shows that you're invested and you appreciated their time. And don't do it, you can just be a day after the interview, you send like a thank you note. And then after that, you can send a follow-up after a week if you don't hear back from them, or after a week to the time they said they will get back to you. You can just send them an email just to remind them and just, you know, request for a feedback. And you kind of need to know what's up, right? So that's also something you can do as well. It shows that you are, you know, interested in that particular position. And so this is actually quite important for me, is that after all is said and done, and after you've done all of these things, even if you are the best person for the job, you have everything that it takes. For me, I believe that if God doesn't want it for you, then you wouldn't be able to get it, right? So it all boils down to what God wants at the end of the day. And so I'll say that this is even the first thing you need to do before you start applying, is to pray. So you need to pray to God to guide you, and you make sure God is the one leading you to apply for that position, because if He's the one leading you to apply, He's going to put you through it. He's going to tell you, this is what the person wants to hear, this is what they want to do, you know, and all of that. But I would say that, you know, all you have to do is you do what you can, because God has given us the wisdom. He has given us this knowledge to, you know, do what you can on earth. And then you have to do your research. As a human being, you have to read books, you have to do your research, you have to write your application. All of these things are very important. And you pray to God to guide you, because He's the only one that can guide you at the end of the day. You know, you pray before you start, and you pray after your application, and you send it. I've given some poor advice, and they tell me that they've done it and they still don't get a response back. And I'm telling them that, you know, it might not work for everybody, you know. So this is something that I see that are common mistakes that I've seen. But even after all of these things, at the end of the day, it might not work. So you need to commit it to the hands of God and make sure that He is in control of it. I hope it helps someone. I hope it's you know, it's going to impact someone that is trying to get an application out there. These are the things you need to look out for. These are things that people look out for when they read your application. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.